What's up, guys? Welcome back to Malt Mondays. This week I'm looking at Highland Park's new release, the Magnus. So about a month ago, Highland Park started rolling out their new series. They have the Valkyrie, which I reviewed 3 weeks ago, I believe. Go check that out. Pretty good. It's a replacement for the Dark Origins. And then they released the Magnus, and they're also releasing Full Volume, which is a 17 to 18-year-old Highland Park. Basically, it's a vintage. It says distilled 1999, bottled 2017. So it's like at least 17. It might be 18. But basically, what they've done is they're introducing these non-age statement bottles to the market to fill in some holes. So they're phasing out the Dark Origins. Personally, I think it's because the Dark Origins used first fill sherry casks, and sherry casks are very expensive and getting more expensive. And the Valkyrie that's taking its place uses some sherry, but a lot of bourbon casks. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with that because Highland Park, in their statement of their 5 pillars of what they believe in about whiskey, they say sherry casks. They say Highland Park, its identity is in sherry casks, and you have, these bottlings not using sherry casks, or at least not using all sherry casks. And I think the 18-year-old, the full volume that they're releasing, is actually completely ex-bourbon. So, just like Macallan before it, I think Highland Park's finally coming to terms with the fact that sherry casks are expensive. They are, in fact, a business trying to make as much money as they can, and they probably are being forced by those above them to start branching out and making whiskeys that use cheaper, that have cheaper cost. So, the Magnus, however, is all American sherry casks, from what I understand. So, this is kind of a replacement of the Highland Park 15. The 15 and 21 used to be American sherry casks, and those have been phased out, and discontinued, but they've added in this Magnus. Now, the Magnus is their new entry-level offering. It's $40, so it's $15 cheaper than the 12-year-old, non-age statement, and it comes in, these beautiful solid black bottles. I really like the new design of the bottles, and on the back we have Magnus, unapologetically bold, smoky, and undeniably Orcadian. Single malt bears the soul of our Viking ancestors with the name of our founder, Magnus Inson. So it's named after him, and it's bottled at 40% ABV, but that's totally fine. This is a budget offering, and it does include their new screw cork design, which I talked about in the Valkyrie review, but if you can see it, the bottles actually have a screw top inside of the cork, which I like. I think it's kind of cool. So, we're going to go ahead and see how this tastes. Now, like all Highland Parks, this is naturally colored, and I love that they're not adding artificial coloring. They're not, trying to make their whiskeys look darker. And I think that's part of the reason, too, why they started putting some of their whiskeys in these opaque bottles, is that they don't want people judging it based on the color. And that's certainly true. I mean, they're non-age statements mostly of what they put in these bottles, but people do unfortunately judge whiskey by its color. So all you can really tell from the color is the type of cask used, and if you know the type of cask used, you can kind of know if it's first fill sherry, second fill sherry, bourbon cask, that sort of thing. But really, the color doesn't tell you much more beyond that. And it can give a slight indication of age, but not very precisely. So this is a light straw color. So right away, I know that either this is super young or it's got very little sherry influence, because sherry cask whiskeys are quite a bit darker than this, even when they're young. So let's go ahead and see how it smells. Wow. This smells fantastic. This, to me, really reminds me of the Highland Park 15-year-old. It's got some of the vanilla in there from the American oak. And a good little bit of sherry going on as well. So there's definitely a sherry cask influence here. And I think these might even be ex-bourbon barrels that were seasoned with sherry and then used for this whiskey, which is a little odd. But I think that might have been, I think I remember that's what they did for this. So there's a touch of like the lemony apple kind of flavor that you would get from ex-bourbon. But this one's actually more on the sherry. Despite how light the color is, it definitely has that sherry influence. And of course there's the classic Highland Park smoke here, the heathery peat that's just gentle, wafting out of the glass, you know, really, really nice. It's there, but you would never guess that this was like a Lefroy or an Ardbeg, you know, so gentle, so perfectly integrated. Man, this is a really nice nose. For $40 whiskey, this is actually has an exceptionally complex aroma. So I'm going to go and see how it tastes. Super smooth. The peat comes out first with sherry, followed by the creamy vanilla, almost like a custard. Back to the peat. A little tiny bit of oak coming through at the very end. I mean, that's delicious. So it's not crazy complex. I mean, you're getting like 3 or 4 flavors here. You're getting the peat, you're getting some vanilla maltiness, you're getting a little touch of sherry, and maybe a little bit of oak. But all in all, this is wonderful whiskey. So I think if I'm gonna score this, I have to give it a B+, because this is good whiskey. It's actually pretty great, and it's also only $40. So I think if you want to try Highland Park and $55 for the 12-year-olds out of your price range, try this. This is totally worthy to be in the Highland Park lineup. It tastes like Highland Park, which I couldn't really say for the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie felt more to me like it was an Islay whiskey. But this really tastes like Highland Park. It's mellow, it's super easy to drink, it's super smooth. I've shared this with a few friends and they've been really on board with it. So I would definitely recommend buying this bottle. Even for non-age statement whiskey, this is a very good non-age statement whiskey. So go out, check it out. It's cheap enough that you can pick it up, and even if you're not wild about it, you know, it's only $40. It's not setting you back a huge amount. Like some non-age statements that go for $100 or more, those are a little riskier. But I don't see any reason not to pick up this bottle if you like Highland Park at all, or if you just want to try Highland Park for the first time. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I do these videos every week. I'm not sure what I'm reviewing next week, but it will be up on Monday morning as always. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.